Hi everyone, I'm Muhammad Shalih Sanusi Saudek.
Hi, my name is Jeany Monica.
Hello, my name is Alya Dwi Putri.
Hello, my name is Gabriel Djami.
Hola, I'm Latifah Azzahra from and in this opportunity, we're going to talk about the SDL.
And here I would like to talk about emotional intelligence. First, what is emotional intelligence? Basically, emotional intelligence is the ability, the capacity, skill, or self-perceived ability to identify, assess, and manage the emotions of one's self, of others, and of groups. Emotional intelligence is also the person's ability to use and to understand emotions with the aim of improving physical and mental health. Next, what is the history of emotional intelligence? So, the concept of social intelligence was first introduced in 1920. But the concept of emotional intelligence was first introduced by psychologists named Peter Salovey and John Mayer in an article in 1990, which then became really popular in a book written by Daniel Goleman about emotional intelligence with the title Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. Surprisingly, emotional intelligence is a relatively recent behavioral model. Why? Because of the publication of the book by Goleman in 1995, as I have said, the term of emotional intelligence became really popular. And now, as you can see, there are so many comprehensive Wikipedia entry, various handbooks and reviews that can be found anywhere. However, why do we need to have emotional intelligence? People who possess a high degree of emotional intelligence know themselves very well and are also able to sense the emotions of others. They are affable, resilient, and optimistic. Someone with good emotional intelligence is able to control emotions when they're angry, and they tend to be more sensitive to the feelings of others as well. Also, by developing emotional intelligence, individuals can become more productive and successful at what they do, and also help others to become more productive and successful as well. The process and outcomes of emotional intelligence development also contain many elements known to reduce stress for individuals, endeavor organization by moderating conflict, promoting understanding and relationship, and fostering stability, continuity, and harmony. Last but not least, it links strongly with the concept of love and spirituality. There are 5 components related to emotional intelligence. The first one is self-awareness. Self-awareness is relying on the feelings or circumstances that other people are feeling and their effects on others. The second one is self-regulation. Self-regulation is using emotional abilities to regulate emotions that will cause certain reactions or behaviors. Third one is the internal motivation. The internal motivation is making decisions as a form of optimism, curiosity, and the desire to achieve something. The third one is empathy. Empathy is understanding the emotions of others and using this ability to respond others based on emotional levels. The fifth one, the last one, is social skills. Social skills using emotional abilities to build strong social relationships with people. If you Google emotional intelligence, you will notice that there are over 7 million hits. This is true testament to the popularity of the concept that has come of age. Emotional intelligence is very useful for our daily life. But not only that, emotional intelligence also works in many fields which are certainly more complex. There are now so many reviews and meta-analysis which shows the predictive power of emotional intelligence. For instance, Martin, Ramalho, and Morin in 2010 in a comprehensive meta-analysis showed AI was clearly, strongly, and explicably linked to mental and physical health. Also, in 2011, Provelli and Sanchez-Ruiz showed AI related to academic behavior and school achievement. In Maserly review of one of the most important researchers in the area, which also in 2011 by Petrides, noted how the applications of AI have been organizational, clinical, health, educational, and social psychology. So, emotional intelligence also participates in mental health, behavior, education, and much more. Its existence is very important, right? Although in some cases, there are people who have been gifted with good emotional intelligence since they were born, emotional intelligence can also be learned and trained. One of the methods that is commonly used called SDL or self-directed learning.
Here I would like to talk about what is self-directed learning or SDL. Self-directed learning is a learning strategy which allows learners to take charge of their own learning process, diagnose learning needs, identify learning goals, select learning strategies, and evaluate learning performance and outcomes. Self-directed learning, also considered as an ability, the ability for a person to formulate a plan and identify the tools, resources, and strategies needed for one's own learning. Behaviors and characteristics associated with self-directed learning are related to intrinsic motivation, integrity, agency, diligence, preference, and grit. With SDL, students themselves decide when, how, and where they should study the material they consider important. There are 4 steps of SDL. First is assess readiness to learn. Students need various skill and attitude towards learning for successful independent study. This step involves students conducting a self-evaluation of their current situation, study habits, family situation, and support network both at school and at home, and also involves evaluating past experience with independent learning. The next step is set your learning goals. Students need to set 2 types of goals. First is short-term goals, and the second one is long-term goals. Short-term goals can be accomplished in the near future, such as doing well on an upcoming exam. Short-term goals are often easy to plan for because people have a clear idea about how to accomplish them. Long-term goals take more time to accomplish, like getting into a college or getting an A in your thesis. Long-term goals can be difficult to plan for. because there might be a lot of steps needed to accomplish them. However, setting short-term goals can help an individual get closer to achieving their long-term goals. The next step, or the third step, is engage in the learning process. Students need to understand themselves as learners in order to understand their needs as self-directed learning students. And the last step is evaluate learning. For students to be successful in self-directed learning, they must be able to engage in self-reflection and self-evaluation of their learning goals and progress in a unit of study. To support this self-evaluation process, they should regularly consult with the advising instructor, seek feedback, and engage in reflection of their achievement, which involves asking, how do I know I have learned? Do I have?
Factor affecting SDL, we have two, internal and external. And for internal factors that can affect SDL consists of health, physical, availability of free times, hobbies, maturity, and intelligence. And for external factors can affect the SDL consists of support of family and friends. Also, SDL have 5 aspects. They are awareness, learning strategies, learning activities, evaluate, and interpersonal skills. For awareness, you are aware that you want to learn. You are aware that it will give you benefit. For learning strategies, you set the goals for what you want to learn. You seek information and you anticipate the risk. And for learning activities, how do you learn? Online or offline channels. And for evaluate, you seek the opinion of others, you seek the criticism of others, and you decide to seek help. And the last one, of interpersonal skills, you build a strong group of friends to exchange idea, and you are not afraid to ask for mentorship.
Also be talking about all these different examples of basically people throughout history that has made an impact towards not only themselves but also to the people around them through self-directed learning. So one of the examples would be Bill Gates. A brief history of Bill Gates is basically he is right now is a business leader and philanthropist. Not only that, but he's also a technologist. He grew up back in Seattle in Washington and had a really great supportive family who basically encouraged him with his interest in computers in his early age. So then the question is, how did Bill Gates, become to the person that he is right now? Basically back in 1975, he dropped out of college to start out Microsoft, or the company that we know of today, who has made a lot of impacts and basically has progressed and advanced technology as it is right now. Through that, he basically had a vision of having a computer on every desktop at home. And back in those days, you could tell that that idea alone was kind of like far-fetched and just something that was out of the norm. But because through his own intuition and through his own self-confidence, along with having all these people around him that supported him into doing what he wants to do and trying to achieve his goal and dreams, he was able to make that innovation that basically changed the world. Another example would be Colonel Sanders, or might I say the person who basically created or made up the recipe of KFC or Kentucky Fried Chicken as of right now. So basically, he started out his early age, or he started out this idea of having to do that thing back when there was the Great Depression that happened in the US, basically stock markets were going down and everything was hectic. But through his own secret recipe and how he partnered with, with people, and how he basically sold his chicken at the side of the road, trying to, make a living. Through that, it's kind of the same as Bill Gates in a way where, even though he didn't have that same type of encouragement from his support from, people around him, it's the same intuitive of, believing in yourself and believing your goals and what you have to do to make that change. And lastly would be Anna Wintour. Anna Wintour is basically one of those, fashion legend icons that has basically made an impact in the fashion industry. So basically, in her early life, back in November 3rd in 1949, she was basically born into, a wealthy, considerably wealthy family, and she was given all these good education and all these, different opportunities that could lead up to a good life. But that doesn't mean necessarily that what you're given could lead up to, what you intended it to be, if that makes sense. It's basically like having to, the things that are given to you in life, sometimes you just have to take that in and use what you've got. And that's technically what she did in a way, even though she made a decision to forego academics and dropped out of her school. She had this idea and innovation of, wanting to start out as something that relates to fashion itself.